Don't tell them Mom the Babysitter's dead. It's a remake. So, what was your concern when you first read the script? What was your initial reaction?
So the initial reaction was it. The script actually hews very closely to the original in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's a big difference in that it centers around a black family, and so that created some different considerations and different cultural references, obviously. But when I first read it, I thought there is something to this that it does translate whatever that magic of the original was, and it's not like the original was necessarily a huge box office hit or anything like that, but it obviously has a following. And so when I first read it, I thought that it had a lot of those key ingredients of the original, and also that it kind of had a refreshing. It cut against some of the trends that we see in teen-based entertainment, where it's like, I think of Euphoria, for example, which is like very hyper-realistic, kind of edgy, right? And this was definitely not that, even though the babysitter, it's like it's kind of a macabre setup. The babysitter dies. For all intents and purposes, it's a very innocent and age-appropriate kind of story, and I liked that about it. I thought it was kind of sweet in that way, and there was an opportunity to just inhabit that early '90s vibe again, and bring it into just bring it into today's context.
So you want to me, it sounds like you want to pay some homage to the original, but don't want to. Yeah, you also want to make your own. So was there a balancing act between doing that?
Definitely. Well, there was so much in the actual script that is that references the original, and even to the point where some original cast members are in the movie. There's a cameo by the original the actor that basically right on top of that rose. So she makes a cameo in the end. So there was all that in there anyway, and kind of references to the original. The trap, we felt, was trying to make it getting into the trap of trying to make it sound like the '90s, and we felt like the nostalgia and the references would come through, and that the score and the music really should be its own thing and have its own identity. And we really tried to go for more of a like the word that we kept going back to was classic. We wanted it to be classic, something classic and not just watchable but rewatchable. And yeah, the director Wade Elaine Marcus and I, we've been friends for a long time, and we used to get hooked on movies. I mean, we're kind of products of the late '80s, early '90s, and there were movies from that time that we would just get hooked on and watch over and over again. And that was kind of what we were going for here.
Speaking of that, for the last question, then what movie, if you were to recommend to a student who's learning, the closing part, what movie would you, from the '80s, perhaps recommend for them to study?
For music from the '80s, interesting. Well, I mean, I would say you can't go wrong with John Williams. Can't go wrong with Home Alone. That was actually a big reference for this. Wade actually said to me at one point, and he was like, he gave me some direction. He was like, think black John Williams, and I was like, interesting. I'm not black and I'm not John Williams, so this should be a challenge. But I think what he meant was capturing some of that sweeping sense, and we needed that actually. It was in the end the movie has an 80-year-old white woman die in the hands of 4 black kids. We needed to do something that helped suspend the audience's disbelief and just let them not take it too seriously and just kind of see it for what it was. So yeah, I'd say can't go wrong with John Williams. Even though there's others out there, other composers. I'd say look at Carter Burwell. He's great. And anything that he does with the Coen brothers is pretty much fantastic.